that I'm thankful for heading into Thanksgiving is Invest America. Bill, you know Invest America is a project that and now a piece of legislation that I've been working on for 3 years, and it's truly gaining a ton of traction.
Tell people, restate what it is, because not everyone may know.
So the idea is that the federal government would cause to be created 3.7 million investment accounts a year for every child that's born in America. They would seed it with a very small amount of money that would be a rounding error to the federal government, but really be a 401k from birth, where companies have already raised their hands, from Uber to Dell, Oracle to NVIDIA, and said they would contribute to the accounts of the kids of their employees. Parents could add money to this account. It really is, that 401k from birth. But here's the thing, Bill. This is the perfect complement to Doge. Think about what we're attacking with Doge. We're cutting wasteful and ineffective government programs that don't even help the people they're intended to help. Right? So instead of doing that, we ought to set up this investment account for each of these children and let the power of private markets work their magic, right? We've done the research now. In partnership with the Milken Institute, led by Kevin Hassett and Rob Shapiro, we know if we give these kids these accounts, they're more likely to graduate from high school, more likely to graduate from college, more likely to buy a home, more likely to start a business. They have vastly higher levels of financial literacy. They're more likely to become a taxpayer, and they're less likely to end up in jail. It has a massive ROI, and we can achieve it while having less government, not more government. In fact, I look at this as a structural rebalancing from the state to the individual. Title rests with the family and the individuals and the kids, who will be able to open up on their phone, see that they too own a little bit of Berkshire Hathaway, of Apple, of United Healthcare, and can ask the questions about compounding. What does it mean to be an owner? They feel like they're in the game. We're going to unlock massive amounts of human potential by doing this. And it's not from handouts, ineffective handouts from the state. This is about turning these kids into capitalists from day one. And I couldn't be more thrilled to see the momentum that it's gained. We're not done yet, but I would say this, maybe just a little behind the scenes on it, Bill, because listen, this is all new to me. And I learned a lot. As most people know, I started Invest America, the not-for-profit, about 2.5 years ago. The idea was very simple, that we needed to attack the wealth gap. We needed everybody to feel like they were part of the system. And the way to do that was through the magic of compounding. So it's $1,000. Every child born in America, there are 3.7 million kids born a year, would get $1,000 in a seed investment account in the S&P 500. It would act like a 401k from birth. And then companies and parents and others, church groups, whatever, could add to those accounts, such that by the age of 18, you could have about $50,000 in that account. At age 30, you could have about $150,000 in the account. You couldn't take the money out. You couldn't trade it. It would really just be that 401k from birth. And I will tell you, and you've heard me talk about this on the show, it had such high product market fit, bipartisan. From the left to the right, I thought to myself, maybe this could actually happen around distribution of this. But the great news is this: whatever you call this at the end of the day, if we do this and we launch this in 2026, $1,000 for every kid born in America. We get every kid from rural Texas to rural Indiana to inner city Trenton to the east side of LA. You get them into the game. They can open up their phone and see that they own a little bit of Berkshire Hathaway. They own a little bit of Microsoft, a little bit of Apple. They feel like they have a shot at the American dream. I think it's a game changer for the country. And so the president weighed in here with the Speaker of the House, said he would like to see it in the bill. That's what eventually broke the log jam and got it in there. And so we're working really closely. And I hope by the end of the day, I deeply, deeply would love to see this be something that unites the country, right? This disproportionately benefits the 60 to 70% of people who are left out and left behind, right? And those are folks, it doesn't matter the color of their skin. It doesn't matter where they live. There are poor folks everywhere, people who will never have a shot at an account that compounds. This is an absolute game changer for those people, and it unlocks their human potential. I think, I know I have a ton of Democratic friends in the Senate and the House who support this. I think if everybody reaches across the aisle in the spirit of bipartisanship, we can get it done in even a bigger unified fashion. But either way, we're thrilled it's in the House version. We hope the Senate will take it up, which we expect that they will, and we hope it's in the final version of the reconciliation bill. It'd be a game changer for the country. Yeah, well, thanks. And I remember last 4th of July, we were talking about this bill, and I was sitting right here. And honestly, I thought the chance of getting this passed into legislation was, maybe 10% at best. And we had some good fortune. As you know, the legislation was called the Invest America Act. It was a bipartisan standalone bill. And it ended up, like a lot of other pieces of legislation, getting subsumed by the reconciliation bill, right? So a lot of these things got packaged together in this one bill. And of course, it was signed into law on July 4th down at the White House. I've been at this 4 years. I tried to get it done under Biden, but the stars just aligned in this moment. And Michael was pretty early to get on board and support this, joined the CEO Council for Invest America, but played a critical role with the president to help get it into the reconciliation bill over the course of the last 60 days. But let's just talk about exactly what it means now that it's become law. So I think of this as a pretty significant evolution in the social contract. It creates private investment savings accounts, privately owned for every child at birth, seeded with $1,000 in the S&P 500. So parents, companies, philanthropists can add money. Anybody can add money to these accounts. You can't take the money out of the accounts, right? It just compounds in the S&P 500 until you're 18 years old, course of the next year. And I guess for me, I was reflecting on this over the course of the last few days. And, at a time when you have an avowed socialist like Mamdani, winning the primary in New York, it seems like, the Invest America Act is really just the exact opposite, right? You're both trying to attack the problem of the wealth gap. But this is by getting everybody into the game of capitalism, making everybody actual owners in the upside of America's success, rather than resorting to price controls, attacking businesses and success, and creating really more dependency on government. So I think we're at this critical crossroads in America, and I think the Invest America Act comes at an important point in time. I think a lot of people think of it like a 529 account bill, but I think that dramatically underestimates what this is. This is a lifetime investment account, so they can compound over the course of your life. If you start with $1,000 and you add $750 per year, at 18, that's worth $50,000. At 30, that's worth $170,000. And at 50, it's worth $1 million, right? So it really is a platform for unlocking dramatic compounding and savings in the upside of capitalism from birth. And it wouldn't have happened without Michael. Agreed. You mentioned something that's profoundly important to both of us. You and I've talked a lot about this, the American dream. Yeah. And it was, I think, Abraham Lincoln who said, fundamental to the American dream is the right to rise.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
belief that your kids can do better than you did.
That's right.
Right? And you've experienced the right to rise. We've all experienced the right to rise in America.
Someday you go to Wikipedia, you go look up American Dreams, my picture.
Right.
Yeah.
And
the ultimate American dream.
And yet we live at this time where, because of the nature of these technological systems, we have companies that are going to be worth 10 trillion. We'll probably have individuals that are worth $1 trillion. Those are the incentives that give people the encouragement to rise. But at the same time, when we head into this age of abundance, something that I was deeply worried about was that too many people get left behind.
Yeah.
Right? And they feel left out and left behind. So it makes sense for them to attack this system of capitalism. Something that you and I worked on together, and I'm deeply grateful for, was the idea of Invest America, that we have to start every kid at birth on the capitalist right to rise journey, give them $1,000 in great companies like
the
NVIDIA
ultimate
and
social security
and OpenAI, et cetera. And they benefit, right? As the country wins, they win. And they own it individually. They can see it on their phone.
Every kid is a shareholder in the future of America.